Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Brittany and today I wanted to talk a little bit about this gorgeous plant, the Philodendron Micans. And I do have a little 2-inch Micans that I wanted to add into this larger pot just to make it a little bit fuller. And so we're gonna do a little repotting today, a little bit of talking about some care, looking at some different varieties of Micans that we might want to add to our wish list, and then just in general admiring the beauty of this plant. So if you are interested in philodendron and specifically Micans, stick around and let's talk Philodendron Micans. Okay, so first things first, before we do anything, Puppy is back here. Penny Lou. She's snoozing away, so I'm sure she'll wake up at some point. And then second is my shirt of the day. I thought that you would enjoy it. It says plants, not people. And has all the plants. I thought it was so cute, I had to. So let's talk Philodendron Micans. First thing is just a little bit about this genus. It is known as a Micans, or its common name is the velvet leaf philodendron because its leaves are so velvety, smooth, soft, beautiful. It is a tropical plant that does come from the Caribbean, so it is, like most of our philodendron, a plant that lives underneath the trees in the rainforests, climbs up those trees, so it is one that does really well on a moss pole. And if you are growing it on a pole that you are caring for, you do have the potential to grow these leaves in terms of size. I have multiple moss poles, philodendrons. This one though, I just love trailing and hanging in a window. And I just think it's so beautiful and sporadic and cool. So there's two methods. You can grow it up or you can grow it down. I prefer specifically this plant this way. This one I have had for about 4 or 5 months now, and the growth has been like out of control, prolific. You can see even currently, I can't even count the number of, there's one, new leaves that are coming in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 or 7 that I can see currently happening. So this plant is just top notch in terms of satisfaction of growth. I did want to add, like I said, I have this baby Micans that I wanted to add into here. I'll show you. It is looking full, but I want it to look fuller. And there is space in this pot right in the middle to add this little 2-inch plant to. So I want to go ahead, add this into here. I am not going to repot. I am just genuinely going to stick this down in here until the pot gets a little bit more full, and then we will look at repotting. So a couple things. I'm gonna go grab my tools in order to do this, and then we will talk a little bit about the care that I've given to this plant in order to get it to look like this, coming from that picture from 4 months ago where it basically just looked like this. So I will be right back. I'm gonna go grab my stuff and we will continue to talk. Okay, so I did just briefly off camera hollow out a little hole here in the center of this plant. And I'm gonna take this baby out and take off a little bit of the soil just so it fits in here, and then I'll add back some of my soil mix while we talk about the care of the plant. So, oh, those roots are pretty good. Look at that. Not too shabby. I do want to take some of the soil off though, and I'm just going to put it in my mix because it really doesn't look bad at all. I do have this plant hanging in a north-facing window, and it is directly next to the window, and it gets a significant amount of light in that window in the afternoon. Yeah, afternoon. And with that, it seems like it grows very quickly, but I have noticed people say that if it's getting too much light, you will get a lot of the pinking of the leaves where they start to turn red. And I have not noticed any issues with that. So this plant likes bright indirect, meaning not outside directly in the light, but inside in a window, bright indirect light to medium light, and it can grow in lower light situations, but that's when you're going to get the legginess, meaning large gaps between nodes where the leaves grow. So like that, I don't know what happened there. There is a node, but no leaves. The lower the light, the less nodes, the less leaves you're gonna get. As compared to, you can see this section right here has like a gazillion leaves on it. So pretty easy going in terms of light. It's just what are you wanting your plant to actually look like? So I added that in there. I'm just kind of backfilling this a little bit with some of my potting mix, and it's gonna look a little wonky here at first until the leaves settle in the directions that they want to settle. And I cannot, every time, let me show you, cannot help but, oops, okay. I dumped soil on myself, so I had to pause. So that is going to fill in, and it's going to start to kind of maneuver where it wants to be, but not a huge difference, but kind of like a huge difference in terms of how that looks. So light, as much light as you can give it without being directly in the sun, the leaves will burn, and that's when you're gonna have some issues with some dying leaves. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is humidity. I, tilt you down a little bit, have very little humidity in my house. I live in Wyoming where we don't have humidity. So I do add a humidifier to the area that this plant is in, and it does tend to like it. Not necessary, but I have quite a few plants in that general area. So I do mist as well as add a humidifier. And like I said, in the winter time especially, you don't necessarily need to do that, but it will help. Remember, this is a tropical plant that comes from the rainforest where it is very humid. So with that being said, let's talk about watering. So with the actual watering of the plant, I let this thing dry out completely before I re-water it. And when I do water it, I top water and then bottom water. So it is getting thoroughly saturated, the soil. And then I let the water drain through. If you are overwatering, you will get root rot very easily on this plant. So it is probably better to underwater than to overwater. And the way that I know it really is time, like you should have done it a couple days ago, is when all the leaves, you can see, here's a good example, start to really curl up like this. Now, this could just be a little bit of trauma on this little section, but they'll all start to kind of curl under, and that means that it is time to water this plant. Next thing that I wanted to talk about, I have a list here of all the things I wanted to talk about, is propagation. This plant propagates so easily. So all you have to do is cut a strand that has at least 2 nodes. And we looked at a node earlier. So here is an example of a node. This little notchy part where the leaves grow out of. Like I said, I'm missing one here. I can't remember if it fell off or I pruned it or it just didn't grow with one. But this would be 1, 2 nodes. So if I were to cut here, I could just drop this into some water and roots would grow out of this spot. If you had a node like this, that the leaf was growing out of, you would just want to remove this leaf so that this section can go in the water. And after a couple of months, you will have like long, strong roots that then you can put back into the pot instead of buying another plant to help fill this plant out. Super easy. I should probably propagate, but I like the trailing for now. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about before we start looking at different varieties of micans is just my daily maintenance of this plant. So it does hang in the window, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like in my house. I do not repot this. I've repotted it once, unless it is very root bound, and then I would go up about an inch or two in pot size. I'm not even gonna think about repotting this until summer. I'm in Wyoming and it's currently snowing, so we're not quite there yet here. The other things that I do are pruning. So if there's a leaf that really looks sad, which I recently did prune this, so we're not seeing many sad leaves, I would just take the leaf off, because if you have damage on your plants, your plant is giving a lot of energy into trying to heal that leaf, which realistically is not going to happen. So it's sucking energy from growth. So if you just remove the leaf that really is never going to heal, it will put the energy back into the growth of the new leaves. And then the other thing that I do is just dust these. They are silky, they are velvety, they do cling to dust. And if there is dust on the leaves, they can't photosynthesize the light that's coming in the same way that they would if they were like nice and clean and fresh. So dusting of the leaves is the only other thing that I really do. And then the occasional propagation and water when I remember. So super easy plant, so gorgeous. I mean, the fullness now I'm obsessed with. So I'm gonna put this back in the window, and then we will talk a little bit about the different forms of micans that are so far out of my price point, but I just wanna look at some pictures because I think they're so pretty. I will be right back. Okay, so here is where this guy lives in the window. And I have it in this little glass pot that was actually a pumpkin decoration at fall, and I just liked how it looked, so it's stayed in there. And like I said, it gets a ton of light, is really happy. I very rarely take it out of that glass pot because I like the drainage of it. So getting this back in was kind of a struggle, but I love it here, and this is where it's gonna stay indefinitely. Look at the fullness of that little section. Okay, my brought this over. Replaced the micans with something else really cute. So let's talk about the different varieties of micans and what we might be interested in looking out for as a wish list plant. So the first one that I want to talk about is the Micans Halo. And it is like mildly variegated. It tends to have like white streaking in it, or kind of like a Hoya Crimson Queen where it has the variegation on the outer edge of the leaf. So pretty. And it's like a lower price point in terms of the variegated micans. What do you think? Do you want down? She's so tired today, I don't know why. It's because it's gloomy out, huh? Oh. And then the next one I want to talk about is the Micans Aria. And this one is like yellowy. I'll show you a picture, really cool. Kind of has like a yellowy, orangey tinge to it. And that one is a little bit higher price point. And then that leads us into like the high price points. So the Micans Mint, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was just like going down a rabbit hole of micans, and these were the ones that I was seeing. So the Micans Mint is, to me, has that same mint kind of coloring that all the mint variegated plants have. And I'm not as obsessed with that. I guess if it does get sun stressed, it will start to get like pink to it, which is really pretty. And then the last one that I saw was the Micans alllll. I don't know if it's a real thing, but it had pink in it. And these things are like, I was seeing like $250 for like this big of a plant. They seem like very expensive. So if you have any information about the variegated Micans of any sort, let us know down below. We would love to know. And if you have any of these plants, they are like something I would ask for my birthday or for my anniversary, but not in my current price point right now. I would love to hear, and I would love to see your pictures on Instagram. So leave your comments down below. Give us your tips on Micans. Tell us what you've done right, what you've done wrong. We love to learn from each other here. And tell Penny Lou hello in the comments as well. And if you are interested in learning about plants with me and going on this journey with me, please subscribe to this channel. And we will see you next time. This week we are creating a new plant room and doing a bunch of furniture moving and shelf building and organizing. So I will definitely be posting about that. And I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye. Bye.